4,000 years ago, one of the world's greatest civilizations suddenly vanished. No battles, no records, just silence. This is the mystery of the Indus Valley. Picture this, it's around 2600 BCE. While Egypt raises its pyramids and Mesopotamia carves its ziggurats, another civilization rises quietly along the fertile plains of the Indus River in what is today Pakistan and northwest India. But this was no ordinary society. The Indus Valley civilization built vast, organized cities, places like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, which at their peak held tens of thousands of people. Imagine bustling streets laid out on a perfect grid, wide avenues stretching straight like modern Manhattan blocks. And here's the shocking part. Every single home, rich or poor, had access to running water and advanced drainage. We're talking about indoor toilets and a sewage system so advanced that some argue it was more hygienic than many European cities in the Middle Ages, over 3,000 years later. Now think about this. While pharaohs demanded colossal tombs and Mesopotamian kings built towering monuments to their power, the Indus cities show no palaces, no massive statues, no evidence of tyrant kings ruling from above. It's as if they built an entire civilization without ego. No pyramids, no temples reaching for the sky. Just clean streets, sturdy homes, and a system designed to benefit everyone. But here's the kicker. How do you run a society that big without obvious rulers, kings, or armies? That's one of the greatest mysteries of the Indus Valley. While Egypt was building pyramids, the Indus built flush toilets. No kings, no monuments, no ego, just order and cleanliness. So if they weren't ruled by kings, who was in charge? Or were they the world's first true democracy? If the rise of the Indus Valley civilization was impressive, its achievements were nothing short of revolutionary. One of the most puzzling legacies is the Indus script, a writing system carved into seals and pottery, still undeciphered to this day. Unlike Egyptian hieroglyphs or Mesopotamian cuneiform, no Rosetta Stone has been found for the Indus language. Each tiny seal, etched with symbols of animals, gods, or geometric patterns, holds a secret we still can't unlock. Imagine a civilization so advanced it traded across continents, yet its very words remain silent to us. And speaking of trade, the Indus people were global players. Archaeologists have uncovered beads, jewelry, and seals from the Indus Valley in Mesopotamia, thousands of miles away. This means caravans of goods crossed deserts, rivers, and seas, linking South Asia to the heart of the ancient Middle East. They weren't isolated, they were connected, exchanging not just goods but ideas. But here's where it gets truly shocking: standardization. Across hundreds of miles, the Indus people used uniform weights and measures. Imagine trying to run a marketplace without a common system. Chaos. Yet the Indus had cubes of stone precisely carved to identical values, ensuring that trade was fair whether you bought goods in Harappa or Mohenjo-Daro. This was an early blueprint for economic trust, thousands of years before modern governments imposed regulations. And then comes perhaps the most surprising achievement of all, their apparent social equality. Unlike Egypt, where pharaohs ruled from golden palaces, or Mesopotamia, where ziggurats towered above peasants' huts, the Indus cities tell a different story. Archaeologists found no grand temples, no royal tombs, no ostentatious monuments. Instead, the houses were built to similar standards, streets were carefully laid out, and water access was evenly distributed. It seems that wealth and power weren't concentrated in the hands of a few. Did you know the sanitation systems of Mohenjo-Daro, complete with flush-style toilets and underground sewers, were more advanced than those of most European cities in the Middle Ages, nearly 3,000 years later? While medieval towns struggled with filth and disease, the Indus had already engineered clean streets, flowing water, and hygiene on a massive scale. The more we uncover, the clearer it becomes. The Indus Valley wasn't just another ancient civilization. It was a model of urban planning, trade, and equality, so advanced that historians still struggle to explain how it all worked. By 1900 BCE, something strange began to unfold. The once thriving cities of the Indus Valley civilization, Mohenjo-Daro, Harappa, and dozens of others, were suddenly abandoned. Streets that had once echoed with merchants, craftsmen, and families fell silent. What caused this collapse? Unlike Rome or Babylon, we don't see signs of a massive invasion or bloody war. Archaeologists have found skeletons scattered across abandoned streets, yet the evidence doesn't point to full-scale battles. Instead, the deaths seem mysterious, isolated, and unsettling. Even more puzzling, The famous Indus seals and undeciphered writing system, once stamped across trade goods, began to disappear from history. It was as if the very symbols of their identity faded overnight. Historians call this one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of the ancient world. A civilization that mastered urban planning, sanitation, and international trade simply vanished. If it wasn't war, then what? Could it have been climate change, shifting rivers, famine, or disease? Or was it something even more dramatic, a natural disaster powerful enough to erase an entire culture? Stay with me, because the evidence we uncover next will challenge everything we thought we knew about how great civilizations fall. Contrast with other collapses, Rome fell to invaders, Mayans struggled with drought, but here, the cause is hidden. If not war, what could have wiped out a civilization this advanced? Let's follow the evidence. History rarely gives us clean answers. When it comes to the collapse of the Indus Valley civilization, scholars have wrestled with several theories, each one more dramatic than the last. To truly understand what may have happened, let's count them down, from the least likely to the most widely accepted. 4. Epidemic or pandemic theory. Some researchers believe the Indus Valley cities may have been struck by disease. In crowded urban centers like Mohenjo-Daro, with stagnant water systems and dense populations, epidemics could spread quickly. Imagine a plague sweeping through the streets, silencing the bustling trade and emptying once thriving neighborhoods. While intriguing, the evidence is thin. No clear signs of mass graves or pathogen traces have been uncovered. Still, the possibility of a mysterious ancient pandemic lingers like a shadow. 3. Invasion or migration theory. For decades, historians pointed to the arrival of the Aryans into India around 1500 BCE as the cause. The theory suggests a violent clash, outsiders destroying Indus cities and replacing them with their own culture. Ancient hymns in the Rig Veda even describe battles and burning cities. But modern archaeology complicates this story. There are no widespread layers of destruction, no charred ruins to suggest total conquest. Instead, scholars now believe the Aryans may have migrated slowly, mingling rather than massacring. The old image of an invading army toppling the Indus Valley is now seen as too simplistic. 2. Shifting rivers and catastrophic floods. The Indus and Sarasvati rivers were the lifelines of this civilization. But rivers are restless. Over centuries, they shifted courses, dried up in places, and flooded others. Entire cities were suddenly cut off from water or trade routes, their lifeblood severed. Imagine a metropolis thriving one generation, only to find its docks stranded in dry earth the next. Archaeologists have discovered signs of abandoned docks, dried canals, and flood layers, hinting that the rivers betrayed the very people who depended on them. This theory holds weight, but it may not tell the whole story. 1. Climate change and prolonged drought. The most widely accepted theory today points to climate change. Around 1900 BCE, the monsoon rains, once steady and life-giving, began to weaken. The mighty Sarasvati River dried into dust. Crops failed, granaries emptied, and people slowly drifted away from the once great cities. This wasn't a sudden catastrophe, but a slow, agonizing decline, a civilization starving under the sun. Modern studies of ancient climate data and soil layers confirm this prolonged drought. In the end, nature itself may have brought the Indus Valley to its knees. So which theory is right? The truth may lie in a combination of factors, a changing climate, shifting rivers, and perhaps even disease. But one thing is certain, this was not the fall of a weak society. It was the unraveling of one of the most advanced civilizations of its age, undone by forces both natural and mysterious. But even after their cities crumbled, the people of the Indus Valley did not vanish. Their legacy lived on in ways far more profound than we realize. So, how did a forgotten civilization shape the future of India, and even the world? Let's uncover that next. Among all the mysteries of the Indus Valley civilization, one stands out as the most tantalizing, the undeciphered Indus script. Scattered across seals, pottery, amulets, and tablets, these tiny inscriptions, sometimes no more than 5 to 10 characters long, have baffled historians, linguists, and cryptographers for over a century. Unlike the Rosetta Stone for Egypt or cuneiform tablets in Mesopotamia, no bilingual key has ever been found. Without it, the language of the Indus people remains locked away, leaving us with more questions than answers. The Indus seals themselves are captivating. Carved into soft stone and hardened with precision, they depict animals like bulls, elephants, and the mysterious unicorn, alongside rows of strange symbols. Were these religious prayers? Records of trade? Names of rulers? Or warnings, perhaps instructions to merchants crossing vast distances? Each seal whispers a story we cannot yet hear. This silence, this inability to translate, makes the Indus Valley perhaps the biggest historical enigma in South Asia. Attempts to crack the script have been relentless. Scholars from India, Pakistan, the West, and even computer scientists have pored over the inscriptions. Some claim the symbols represent a Dravidian language, the ancestor of Tamil. Others argue for an early Indo-Aryan tongue. Still others suggest it might not be a language at all, but rather a system of non-linguistic symbols, like heraldic emblems or property markers. And yet, no theory has stood the test of rigorous proof. Every attempt ends in contradiction or uncertainty. The greatest obstacle is the brevity of the inscriptions. Most are fewer than 10 characters long. Imagine trying to decipher English if all you had were random license plates or initials on a keychain. Without longer texts, grammar, or recurring patterns, it is almost impossible to decode meaning. To make matters worse, the Indus civilization left behind no surviving literature, no monumental inscriptions carved into stone walls, and no parallel translations to guide us. It is as if they deliberately encoded their culture in riddles. And here lies the burning question. Could the secret of their collapse be hidden within this script? Could these short lines contain references to famine, flood, disease, or even conflict? If deciphered, they might reveal names of rulers, details of trade networks, or prayers to gods we have never known. Imagine the shock if tomorrow, one seal was cracked and spelled out, "The great river has died." That alone could reshape how we understand the entire fall of the Indus world. This puzzle isn't just for scholars, it's for you too. What if you were the one to crack it? What if a fresh perspective, a new mind, uncovered the key that generations of experts missed? Some believe AI will one day unlock the script. Others believe it will require a breakthrough in archaeology, a discovery of a bilingual inscription buried beneath the sands of Sindh or Punjab. But until then, the mystery is alive. Drop your theory in the comments below. Do you believe the Indus script hides the truth of their downfall, or do you think it was never a language to begin with? The Indus Valley civilization may have collapsed over 4,000 years ago, but its fingerprints are still visible in the world we live in today. Imagine cities built with precision, streets laid out in straight lines, neighborhoods carefully planned, and entire communities functioning on a sense of order. These weren't chaotic settlements. They were structured, efficient, and advanced in ways that mirror the modern grid cities we live in now. When you walk through cities like New York or Chandigarh, the echoes of Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro's city planning whisper through time. Their sanitation system alone puts many later empires to shame. Underground drains, public baths, and carefully engineered sewage channels show us that the Indus people valued hygiene and public health centuries before Rome ever laid its aqueducts. These were innovations designed not for kings and elites, but for ordinary citizens. That tells us something powerful. The Indus Valley civilization wasn't just a story of power and conquest, but of shared progress and collective well-being. This level of foresight matters today. As we battle climate change, rapid urbanization, and population booms, the Indus Valley's example challenges us to think. Are we building cities that are sustainable, or are we repeating the same mistakes that may have led to their downfall? Archaeologists believe shifting rivers and prolonged droughts played a major role in their collapse. Their cities, once flourishing, could not withstand the force of climate. Doesn't that sound eerily familiar? Rising seas, burning forests, vanishing rivers, its history repeating itself, only now the stakes are global. Beyond infrastructure, the cultural influence of the Indus Valley quietly shaped the roots of South Asia. Many symbols and practices found in later Hindu traditions, like sacred bathing, certain motifs in art, and early proto-religious symbols, may trace back to this civilization. This means the Indus Valley isn't just a lost story, it's part of the foundation of India's vast cultural identity. The people who live there aren't strangers to us. Their ideas ripple forward through time. And then there's the greatest lesson of all, fragility. Civilizations, no matter how great, are never invincible. The Indus Valley stood tall with innovations centuries ahead of its time, but even they couldn't escape the forces of nature and the unpredictability of history. Their silence today is a haunting reminder that progress is not permanent. It has to be protected, nurtured, and adapted to survive. So why does the Indus Valley still matter today? Because it shows us a mirror. It teaches us about the brilliance of human innovation, the importance of community-centered design, and the dangers of ignoring the environment around us. Its fall isn't just a mystery locked in the past, it's a warning written in stone. If climate change ended their empire, what warning does it give us today? Could we be standing at the edge of the same fate? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's see what lessons you think the Indus Valley is still trying to teach us. The Indus Valley remains one of history's greatest enigmas. A civilization that built cities more advanced than many that came after, yet left behind no clear rulers, no great armies, and no grand monuments to ego. They thrived in peace, mastered trade, and engineered sanitation centuries ahead of their time, only to fade into silence without a trace. A ghost civilization, swallowed by shifting rivers and the passing sands of time. So, what really ended their story? Were they undone by climate change? Crushed by invaders? Or could the truth be something we haven't even begun to uncover? What do you believe? If mysteries like this captivate you, don't let this be the end of the journey. Subscribe, join our community of history seekers, and uncover more forgotten worlds with us every week. Because the Indus Valley may have vanished, but its questions still echo, waiting for us to answer.